This is what I found wrong with the county contract, in my opinion. From what I understand, there's dozens of these in Winston County, and the citizens of Winston County is losing their lands with these contracts. If this contract is legal in Winston County, my question is can landowners do the same thing when they sell their land and keep a driveway open and 40 or 50 years later come back and take 30 feet of it, pencil it in? Can real estate companies do the same thing to keep the driveways open in order to get through to land they may purchase 30 years from now? The first thing is this is untitled. The second, pages are not numbered. How many pages in this contract exists? Every contract I've ever got says page 1 of 5 or page 1 of 2. This isn't even numbered, so they can add more pages in at their discretion. They handwritten stipulations in the margins. At what date was these stipulations written in, and why were they not professionally typed in the beginning? The contract was never signed by notary public. The contract was never sworn to, subscribed, or stamped by a notary. The contract was never signed by witnesses. Many of the signatures of the contract, to my knowledge, could not read or write when they're signing. Looking at the date written in the margin, November 20th, 1994, then Billy C. Ford's rubber stamp appears, and it appears to be in 1998, November 5th. From what I understand, this contract was written in the 70s. Where the landowners allegedly signed the contract, not one landowner dated it, and not one tract number was put in on the dating. In my opinion, 30 feet of right-of-way will typical storm houses, front yards, carports, pasture fences, and possibly whole houses would be moved at the homeowner's expenses. Why are they telling me to move my workshop out of my front yard and trying to take 30 feet at the end of the road and not coming all the way down through the road doing the same with everybody else? I don't want it done with myself or anyone else. Ask yourself, is this contract legal? And if it is legal, can we as citizens of Winston County begin buying and selling cars with open contracts, buying and selling land with open contracts, buying and selling anything and not notarize it? We go to jail in a heartbeat, in my opinion, if we begin trying to do these things and push through people's lands. Why is this administration getting away with this, and why have they allowed this to be done since the 70s? April 1988 is when I bought my land from Richardson Family Trust. The easement from the county, the only date that's on it that's stamped Billy C. Ford is 1998, 10 years later. If you go back and look at the names that signed on that easement, my name, Ricky Mobley, is not on there anywhere. Republic. 1995, September of 1995 is when I paid off my land. And if you look, it was notarized, dated, and the time it was notarized. This is where I paid off my land, what time and what date of the payoff. Still, even with this, on the easement, their earliest date that shows up is 1998. I owned my land in 1995. On all of the tax assessor's maps, I own the land and I paid taxes, state taxes, according to the tax assessors. For some reason, that don't seem to hold water with the county. This isn't right. Anybody that watches this knows that this is unethical. They should be brought up before the ethics committee at the very least, in my opinion. We're going down Highway 5, coming into County Road 62 from the direction going towards Haleville. The reason we're coming in from this direction is, what makes it relevant is Mr. Fell's name is on the easement, and Mr. Fell lives right up here on the right. As we go across the tracks, you'll see this mobile home was put in here, remodeled and fixed, and 30 feet of right-of-way would take this man's front yard and driveway. This is a descriptive right-of-way. As you come up here on the right, you'll look, there'll be a storm house right here. This storm house right here, Mr. Fell built He dug it with a tractor and by hand his whole life to leave something for his children. Don't look like much on the outside, but on the inside it's as big as a house. There's a carport where you can pull cars in. There's a freezer in there. There's a couch in there. There's electricity. There's a telephone, and you can fit the whole Fell family in there, which is a pretty large family. He signed the descriptive easement. And he knew when he signed it that the right-of-way didn't go that far, or he wouldn't have worked his whole life on something a bulldozer can tear down in just a few minutes. As we come on up, right here is Jimmy Fell's house on the right. He has a carport put in right here. The carport is well within the 30 feet, but it's still a descriptive right-of-way. He's not on the right-of-way. As you come up here, we have Larry Hardman's house. Larry has his truck, his pickup, his trailers, everything here in his yard, close to the road, but it's not on the right-of-way. This is America. No neighbors is complaining. We don't care where he puts his stuff. That's his land. As we turn here, this is still County Road 62. I'm passing where all the original names had signed to put County Road 62 in, which makes it relevant. The names, I'm passing the old house places. On it says 1.0 miles. To my house is 1 3/4 miles to the turnaround. As we come around this curve right here, you'll see a fence on the left. Right up here is the fence on the left. This fence isn't on the right-of-way. This man put it up. No, it wasn't. Right here is the pasture fence. It's by the road, not on the right-of-way. Not on the descriptive right-of-way anyway. It's coming right down through here. The land changes and another landowner right here where the pasture is bush hogged. The other landowner has his fence coming down through here. Nobody's complained about it because it's on his land. Right here's a storm house on the right. That storm house has been there well since the 70s or earlier. It's within 30 feet. It's on a descriptive right-of-way. The original builders knew this. As you come around this curve, we're going to have a telephone pole and a row of trees. This telephone pole does not signify that there is a right-of-way. Straight across of it cuts through the woods. They put these telephone poles in to get power to these houses as best they could because of this crooked road. As you come around right here on the right, there's not 30 feet of right-of-way here. It would go plumb up in the yard of that mobile home. You get up here, you get down here on the left. The man has logs at the side of the road in his yard, where he keeps his yard to keep people from running up in his yard and as a barrier. There's no problem. The neighbors don't complain. I don't complain. Right here on the left, on the right is another carport. As you come, there's a house on the left. As you look right here used to be a dirt road. It was a gravel road up to about 7 years ago. The last county commissioner had the engineer with him, and he paved this road. This was a descriptive right-of-way. As you look right here to the right, you'll see a block wall. This block wall's been here forever. This is one of the original signers' old house places. Right here is his storm house, right there on the edge of the descriptive right-of-way. Unless the county wants to take up the liabilities of somebody running into these structures. As we come around through here, here's another fence in the yard. As you look up here, there's cedar trees on both sides of the road, right there on the edge of the road. Right there's another mobile home. 30 feet would go all the way up to their front door almost. You come on down here, this is almost 1 mile and 1.75 miles as you come up here. Right here is the turnaround that the engineer told the last commissioner this is as far as we go. As recent as 7 or 8 years ago. This right here is where my land begins. If you look down, this is not county gravel. This is slag that the logging companies put in here. Logging companies cannot legally dump gravel on a county road. They was building my yard up because my yard sloped too much to get a log truck in and out. They asked me permission to put the gravel down. I asked them if they'd want the gravel back. They said, "No sir, Mr. Motley, you can have the gravel." It benefited me. It leveled my yard, leveled my driveway. As you come up, this is the gate that the county is trying to open right here. Even if they win and get this gate open, the landowner will not open that second gate. That is his land. It's his prerogative to keep it open whether he signs the easement or not. Right here is the second road going in, the access road that's been there for 2 or 3 years. This is a close-up shot of the gravel that the loggers give me and how deep they helped me build up my road. This is not county gravel. I'd like to see the work order where they brought dump truck loads of gravel to the end of County Road 62 in the last few years. Right here is where the loggers gave me. They built it up this deep. At some places it's within 16, 18 inches deep. And it's just slag. This is slag. It don't match any of the gravel that belongs to the county that is right up there. It's right here. It built it up. It drains water out of my yard. This is my driveway. I allowed them to use it as a road. It does not match any of the county's work whatsoever. It don't match any of the neighbors' driveways. This is the county road right here. This is where the county paved it. This is the county gravel, little gravel that they bring in. Show me a work order where the county paid for any of this large slag that is in my yard. Right here is where we're approaching the gate that they're trying to get a road up to. As we approach my gate that has my no trespassing sign on it, my trees growing here, the second landowners, here's a close-up shot of his gate. Right there's his gate. I help watch his gate. It's posted and patrolled. The county's trying to make a road that's going to go absolutely nowhere. Go right to there. It makes no sense whatsoever that the county is trying to get a road through my front yard up to this second gate that says no trespassing, patrolled. This is the access road they have to their land. We're coming off of the end of County Road 62. And these two boys that's doing this camera work for me is more than allowed to be on their access road. They keep an eye on it for the landowners themselves. The hunting club down at the very end of it, which is Walker Dobbs, he paid for this. He testified in court that he paid for this road. If you look to your left, those first trees up there to the left is my yard that they're trying to take away from me. As you come down this road, the boys are showing where they paid for the gravels to be put in right here and built the road up. It's no encumbrance whatsoever for them to come down this road. It's not even out of their way. As you come up here, you'll notice that the gate from the other landowner that owns this 80 right here is not there right now, because this was 3 or 4 years ago that this road was put in and we made this film. The gate's not there, but just as soon as the lawsuit started and this landowner found out that anybody was crossing his land and how much trouble we was having, he put the gate up and said nobody was crossing that land unless they asked him permission and stopped at the gate with a combination. That's the reason the gate's not there. So they still, once they get through my gate the other way, they still have to go through his gate when they have this access road here. This is a tax assessor's map. At the end of Winston McNutt Road is a triangle that has a 9 in the middle of it. That's where the county road ends now, that exists now, that I have no problem with. The dotted line from the tax assessor maps going through, they want to take 2 1/4 dots and open it up and fight me in court to do it. But by the tax assessor's map, that road continues on. Why do they want to keep this road, this part of this road, closed to the public, but open up my driveway to where nobody can use it whatsoever, and it don't do the county any good? At least there's a scenic route the other half a mile where you can look at the woods and look at the forest and might run across a deer from time to time. But this would stop the hunters from stopping in front of my front yard with my 5 children, 3 of them little girls, at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning waiting to open that gate because they don't want to disturb the deer. Winston McNutt Road is what this was called back in the 70s and the 80s. This road is now called County Road 62 when the E911 address came in. So you can tell how long I've been paying taxes on this and how long this road has been closed, because every tax assessor's map that I've came across shows the road ends there and there is no road going down in front of my house unless you want to call this hunting road a road. This is even an older tax assessor's map when it was still called McNutt Road. Maybe you can tell how much older it is by just looking at it, but it still has my workshop on my land. It still has no road going through it whatsoever. Don't even acknowledge anything, don't even acknowledge my driveway when you can see my house there. My house is most certainly there. My workshop was there. I wouldn't mind pulling my workshop up 15, 20 feet. The lawyers told me not to move anything while it was in court. Nobody came out and asked me nicely just to move the workshop up. 30 feet would take my front yard all the way up to my front door, and it would go off the hill the same way. Within, I'm estimating 15 feet of my front yard, the hunting club put in and paid for the gravels, and I'll have a film on this to show you when they was putting it in. Access road within 15, 20 feet of my front yard that they paid, that goes to the property in question. They just don't like their road as well as they do my front yard. Are they making an example out of me? If they're doing it to me, they can do it to you in the next 5 minutes to 15 years from now. What they need to do is come out with the landowners and renegotiate these contracts. Make it clear. Type them out. Make it clear where the easement ends, where the road ends, where the right-of-way ends. Have it signed by a judge. Have it notarized. Have it witnessed. Have the pages numbered so our kids and our grandkids, as they buy land in Winston County, don't buy land and then find out they don't own what they think they own because the county wants it 50 years later. This is a diesel coming out, 18-wheeler with a low bore. This is how they got the dozer in there. They took it in, they turned around, they brought it out. If this truck can get in and out of their access road, any truck can get in and out of the access road. This was caught on my number 2 security camera the day they was building it. This is film from my security cameras that I have up protecting my land and my children. They unloaded the bulldozer back there where the gate is now, and they're bringing the bulldozer in. This is the access road that Walker Dobbs testified in court that he had built. This is the access road right next to my yard. This is my yard, my driveway that you're looking at, and the side of my workshop. Why would they be suing me to move the road up into my yard when their road is literally within pebble throwing distance of my front yard? I have to say this legally, so this appears to be Walker Dobbs driving in his access road and driving out his access road, caught on a security camera. I don't see any encumbrance, don't even see any mud on his car. This appears to be Walker Dobbs turning around, coming out his brand new, self-paid for access road to the hunting club. At this point, I thought everything was over with. He had an access road within pebble throwing distance. Why is he trying to take my front yard? Human bones found under bluff in Delmer. Saturday, May 23rd, 2015. Me and my son standing over where the bones was found, buried. At the bottom it says, Ricky Mobley and his son Alex, who lived near area where human remains were found, explore bluff area of the finding under a large bluff. This is the Northwest Alabamian newspaper. It got really rough down in here during them years, and I was having to run hunters off, and they was cussing me in my front yard, and I was telling them either in the woods or out of the woods, but they was using my front yard as a staging area. And I don't know whether these human bones is Indian bones or not. The boy that found a skull down there said that he was hunting arrowheads, but the bones was just, nobody said anything about the bones. We haven't heard what kind of bones it is. No Indian officials has been down through here to investigate under the bluff, and I had to, that was one of the main reasons that I had closed my road. Besides, my dog's coming up poisoned. This was the last dog that got poisoned as I closed off my front yard, my driveway, not allowing anybody else through. We had 5 dogs die like this over a period of about 8 years. Dogs and hunters don't mix. They would bark when the hunters would come in, and I guess they disturb the deer, but this was my children's dog. This dog was a house dog. We kept it in the house. It was given to my children as a Christmas present. They had it while they was off for Christmas out of school. We kept it in the house for a week. They took it outside one time as I was watching my news, and I always watch the 5 o'clock news, and they took it outside and they was playing with it. They came in at 5:30 and the world news was on, and they asked if it could stay outside because it looked like it was having fun and it was staying in the yard. They went back out at 6 o'clock when my news went off, and this is what I found. What is hazed out is where it had regurgitated its insides. Whatever poison this dog got a hold of dissolved its inside. My 5-year-old little girl was outside with that dog not 30 minutes earlier. What would have happened if my little girl would have got into that poison? It would have been my little girl and not the dog. Whoever is poisoning it, and I believe in my heart of hearts it's the hunters, because since I've closed the road in 2015 and didn't allow anybody else, we have 3 healthy dogs that my children play with and is alive. We have 2 healthy ferrets, and my son even has 2 snakes that he has as pets. They couldn't keep a pet before I closed the road up. They'd beg me for a dog. They'd want the dog as a companion. I would give in and give them the dog, hoping that it wasn't going to happen this time. The only reason I didn't take pictures of the other 4 dogs is it was so morbid, it was so graphic of what had happened. I thought it was sick to take a picture, but when the 5th one finally happened and my children cried over that dog, I was taking a picture for evidence. My son, my oldest son, had lost his cat. This cat's name was Fluffy. He loved this cat. This cat stayed in the house, outside. The cat come up missing. It was a tomcat. We didn't know what happened. We thought he might have went tomming around and found him a better place to live. A couple of years ago, we was redoing the underpinning under my house. My son seen a paw hanging down from under my house. When he pulled it out, that was his cat. The only reason we haven't buried the remains of this cat is evidence. We need help keeping these people out of here and from crossing my yard. I have security cameras up. I walk my land at night now, and everything has been calm, and my children have pets for the first time in their life, and the county wants this road open so bad. Why? This is the first letter I got from an attorney. It was Betsy M. Harris. It was sent to me dated January 16th, 2017. I am writing to you on behalf of my clients, Mr. and Miss Slane Whitfield, Mr. Danny Engel, and Mr. Walker Dobbs. They're basically suing me in a civil case. She wants 60 feet of right-of-way. This case was dropped. They didn't pursue it. I don't know how much they paid her, but about as far as it went is me and her exchanged information. She seemed like an extremely nice lady, and the case was dropped. This letter was given to me on February 21st, 2017. It's from Javier Nascio Jr., PC, the attorney for the county, basically telling me to get any encumbrances, get my workshop, he's calling it a mobile home, get my workshop off of the right-of-way. That's not a right-of-way, it's my front yard. I've owned it since 1988. It has not been a public road. Nobody mentioned the second gate. To me, this looks like nothing more than favoritism, and they're helping somebody get land that's not even their land. Walker Dobbs is the only one that testified on December 13th of this year in court. It went to court. He testified against me, saying that I was blocking a public road and that road was coming in. He also testified that he, to the best of my memory, that he believes that the road goes a half a mile down in there, but the only part of the road that he himself wants open is my front yard. This seems like nothing more than favoritism, like a very wealthy man was going to pay a lawyer, Betsy Harris, to sue me, and then found out by, I'm assuming, some of his buddies that they would pick it up pro bono and not charge him one little bitty dime. The problem with this is the citizens of Winston County is the ones that's paying for this. What are we going to do with commissioners that can take people's land at a whim, not be charged anything, not have any kind of reproach against them if they've done wrong? From what I understand, there was also another man, Harold Socks, that they tried to take his land under different circumstances. He just opened up a gate to let traffic through because the road had washed out, and they told him he couldn't close his gate because there was a road years ago there. Harold Socks won his court case. But get this, people, he had to pay the court costs, even though that he won this case. Everything that I've heard about Harold Socks is hearsay. This is things that I've been told by different individuals that I trust, that I believe is fairly up in the government and would actually know. We have a lot in common. If the county commissioners can go and try to take people's land, it don't cost them nothing. There's no reproach. There's no way that they're going to get in trouble. They're going to keep their hands in the cookie jar the whole time. They don't have to pay anything. It don't. When they was, I didn't even get to see my accuser. Cummings, the commissioner for my area, wasn't even in court. I didn't even get to face my accuser in court. His boss was there. But anyway, this is a lot of things that I believe the people of Winston County need to think about, and it's things that we need to change for our children. There should be no such thing as an open contract or people sign a piece of paper and the county or any other government entity can continue to add to it as they see fit, no matter who else owns the land, who's bought the land in the last 20, 30 years, or where the land goes or how much they take. And they don't have to treat the neighbors equally. They can treat one person totally different than anybody else on the road or in the county if that's what they choose. There's no business down there. This is not stopping anybody. Walker Dobbs testified in court that he had two ways in. One way is on a Jason Road, Glenmary Road next to us. He said that in all the time that he's owned the land, he's never went through the gate. That he didn't know what that side was, but the loggers could get in and out. But there was a little branch or a little creek down at the bottom of the hill, and they needed to bring them out this way. The whole reason I have the driveway that I have is the loggers made a deal with me to put the slate down, the gravel down on my road, so Mr. Dobbs could get his logs out. And the logs came out, and they came right out beside my mobile home. And the logs that adjacent me, the 80 acres where the gate is. Look at the videos. That's been clear cut. My workshop's been sitting there. They've been driving 18-wheelers out of there, getting the logs out. It's no encumbrance. It's not in anybody's way. There's plenty of room. Don't let this happen to anybody else, and most certainly don't let it happen to any of the citizens of Winston County or any of their children ever again. If you believe these actions is wrong that's being taken against me, and there most certainly is more easements out there like this, you need to go check. We need to write our congressmen. We need to write the attorney generals. We need to write to ethics committees. We need to write to bar associations. The citizens of Winston County needs to stop this type of actions by our elected officials. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. I have one more thing. People say I'm long-winded, but I want everybody that's seen this remember the easement says 1.0 miles as if it's definite. They came an extra 3/4 mile on their own and put the turnaround in front of my house. Now, years after they put the turnaround, they're deciding they're wanting my front yard. If they can do this to me, I keep saying they can do it to anybody. 1.0 miles in a legal contract, to me, easement or anything, would mean 1.0 miles. Not 1 3/4 and then a few years later decide that you want more land. And the county commissioner that put the road in testified on my behalf that that's where the road ended. The road didn't go no further. When he was commissioner, that's where it ended, and that's where he put it in at. Thank you again. I'll try not to say anything else till I have something new to tell you. Appreciate it.